Hello YouTubers and subscribers, RoseRez17 here, and this is the review for Fairy Tail 100 Year Quest Volume 5, Chapters 37 to 45. Now what I love about this volume is the first chapter I see that is called the Beta Heaven, and it's about Natsu losing his soul and then waking up in a place filled with clouds and mountains, and as he remembers what happened, he sees a familiar face, Zera, who told him that he's neither in heaven or hell but somewhere in between. And along the conversation, he meets another familiar face, which is Mavis, the first guildmaster. As to Natsu's surprise, the two are married and have children. I'm pretty sure you know who they are, August and Larcade, and all four of them live in this nice little home. And later on, Natsu and Zeref have this conversation about Zeref's sins and Natsu's forgiveness. I do like this moment where they have this brotherly bond together that has been missed out for years between them. And what really interests me about this chapter is that everything that is happening is inside Natsu's subconscious mind. I do like the fact that Natsu thinks heaven will be filled with dragons and fires, and Zera recaps his thought in saying that is like hell. But then I get to see the big man himself, Igneo, and it's not just him, there are others like Atlas Flames, Zirconis, Simon, and even Eclair from the Fairy Tail movie Priestess of the Phoenix, which is something I didn't expect. I mean, I can understand Eclair and Simon, but I was surprised and confused about Jude and Layla being in Natsu's subconscious mind when he never even met them. Maybe it could be the strong bond that he has with Lucy and being there for her when she was suffering after the loss of her family. But that's just my own speculation on the matter, and I think that the writer has different objections. However, with the surprise of Jude and Layla, there is something else that caught my attention, and that is Igneo mentioned Acnologia is there as well. Now, this is all happening due to Natsu's kind heart, as his mind is willingly giving peaceful lives to the souls that he cherished. And that is what Beta Heaven is all about, according to Zeref. So hearing Igneo saying that Acnologia might be here as well could be him saying that Natsu subconsciously want the Black Dragon to be at peace. Now this could be speculation, but after reading later chapters in the 100 Year Quest, which I'm not going to spoil unless you read those chapters already, I came back to these chapters for the review. My thoughts went from speculation about the Black Dragon resting in peace to foreshadowing to having him fight alongside Natsu. Now I know what you're all thinking. How could that be possible if Acnologia is gone? Well, I don't mean it physically, of course, but maybe a ghostly figure of him sharing his powers with Natsu, as did Igneo did given his last of his flames to fight off Zera. This idea came to me after watching a review video of the chapter from Iron Nancy, and I believe I had mentioned him before in my other chapters, and I suggest you check out his channel. Iron Nancy, you will always have my support, and I love watching your review videos, and I'm hoping that one of these days you'll check out my videos and give me your comments down below. I will really appreciate that. Now back to the chapter. Igneo is telling Natsu that he's so strong because he's so kind, and now Zera told Natsu that it is time for him to go and must defeat the enemy. But Natsu isn't sure how to fight a ghost, someone who is untouchable. But Igneo suggests that he can because he himself is a ghost right now. And before returning to the living, Zeref mentioned that Natsu will forget everyone he met. Right before then, Natsu and Zera both say the final words, have to keep living on. And before Wrath devours Natsu's soul, he bits him in the hand and attacks him, which got me laughing when I first saw this panel. So now that Natsu has the ability of thought protection, he has the ability to fight back against the ghost dragon, and the chapter ends there. Now there's an equal fight between the two. And there is one of those rare times where you see the idiotic hothead main character use the ability that I thought he never used, which is a thought projection. The reason I say it like this is that a thought projection is only activated with the power of the mind, and seeing Natsu using this type of skill inspires me as it shows more of this character's development. I know I have mentioned this before in one of my previous videos that Natsu's character has been gaining more growth and development than I've seen in the original. First, there was the time when he refused to fight the water dragon god as his friends forced him to fight through his bizarre behavior, and now he's fighting the ghost dragon slayer after turning into a ghost himself. Natsu could be the most loyal member of the guild, but when it comes to particular situations, he will do something unacceptable like punching his best friend in the face to free him from Wrath's possession. I know it seems too cruel, but what else could he have done? And Also, in these panels, you see the reaction from Natsu telling Wrath not to possess someone weaker than him, as they will quickly lose the fight. Natsu and Happy have fights and arguments all the time like an old married couple, and that is the reason why Natsu can just slug Happy in the face, but only if he has to. Then Wrath escapes to find another body to possess someone that is stronger and ends to take control of Makarov. Meanwhile, Mirai and Elfman are fighting the two Dragon Eaters while Lizana has a hold of Lucy. I know this is going to sound crazy and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I actually want Lucy to be kidnapped and be controlled by the White Witch for various reasons. For one thing, they can make the story a little bit more interesting, as they could have her fight against Natsu, and seeing that battle between everyone's favorite parent would be both exotic and emotional. But then the writer knows how much of the damsel in distress Lucy has been since the beginning of the original series, and I honestly don't blame him. So Lucy managed to free herself from Lizana's grasp with the help of Capricorn, and discovered that the White Witch's magic is connected to the eyes, and thought of a plan to help her guildmates. I wonder what idea Lucy would come up this time. Now there is the fight between Kiria and Loxus. However, the Blade Dragon is on the ground with the lightning giving her a scary look, as she seemed to be thrilled at that glare. The next chapter begins with Wendy and the Sticky Dragon, and I think this battle is kinda corny. So I'll just mention the part when the orb is destroyed. There is a panel that shows the White Witch and the ground is shaking again. Now cut to the page of Loxus and Kiria having a small talk about their plans with Aldron, as Kiria's making that disturbing expression. We cut to Urza pinned to the tree by Jalal's magic. But then Jalal remembers the Urza from the past, and his guilt allowed him to undo her restraint. But then Urza turned the tide on him and wrapped him up with that expression that turns the swordswoman's face into the color of her hair. Urza, re-equipped into her armor, runs back to where Loxus and Kiria are having their fight. And now back to Natsu and Wrath, where the chapter ends with some details about Wrath and Makarov. Now in chapter 40 tells more about Wrath's backstory. It turns out that he was a member of Fairy Tail who died years ago and was Makarov's friend. I like the concept of this character and with the connection with the Guildmaster. I am a little confused about the part in the last chapter, where it said that he could be blood related to Makarov, as if Yuri had another kid or Wrath is a distant relative. But instead it shows the brotherly bond as guildmates, which isn't a bad thing, as people in Fairy Tail respect each other as family. But having that text saying blood related when the real meaning behind those words are the bonds that thicker than blood. So yeah, totally a fairy tale trope. Wrath gained his memories and can finally move on, with Makarov's final goodbyes, and Natsu returned to his body with Happy crying to have his pal back. Much as I love the bond of the guildmates and how they treat each other like family, and reading that heartwarming chapter gave me a small tingling feeling inside. But I would like to move on to the next chapter. Gray and Juvia stumble upon Kana, and Gray was about to take her out. She dodges Gray's attack as she activates Fairy Glitter to strike back, but Kana gets covered in Aries fluffiness. Lucy shows up in the nick of time, and her idea that was announced in the previous chapter is that she plans to track all the guildmates into Kana's deck of cards. Yep, I expect this from one of the smarties in the group. Lucy can use the cards, as she mentioned that she and Kana are both holder type wizards, but proven that the Celestial Mage failed to use it properly as she trapped herself in one of the cards. But Kana explains that there is a trick in translating people into the cards, and it turns out that Kana was never under the White Wizard's control. She was just drunk the whole time. Well, isn't that something? Lucy and Kana have a touching moment, and next is the scene of Loxus and Kiria battling each other. And as Kiria used her blade powers to cut the strength from the Lightning Dragon Slayer, just like she did with Urza. But it fails because Loxus never considered himself as a strong wizard. Yeah, he says that before annihilating the woman in the next panel. But I think I understand what he means. He has strong powers and muscles apparently, but the strength of his heart is weak. And if you see the arc of Loxus' story, then you will know what I'm talking about, and why Kiria couldn't slice away his strength, because it was never there in the first place. Also, I think that Blade Woman here might be falling for him. Just saying. Now the next chapter starts with Wendy trying to help Carla, but was told to run away and go after the Sticky Dragon, and ends up fighting him while she's still in her cocoon. Meanwhile, there's a page with Lucy, Kana, Gray, and Juvia trapping everybody in the cards. Then Gray suggests that they should trap the Dragon Eaters, but Kana denies that because she can't trap people with intense hospitalities. Now there's a Loxus versus Urza battle that is about to begin, and then at the end of the chapter, there is Natsu and Happy finding the White Witch on the ground out cold, and Natsu Natsu being his savage selves get ready to pulverize an unconscious girl. But then she wakes up saying Natsu's name and then wrap her arms around him begging for his help. And after 2 weeks, 14 days, 336 hours, 4,704 minutes, 65,856 seconds, it turns out that Toka's not in love with Natsu but in love with Happy, and she turns out to be a cat. What? Are you shitting me right now? After all that waiting and this is what I got? What? Did I miss something? Hang on, I'm gonna go back to the previous chapters. Give me a moment. Oh my god, I feel so stupid. Of course Hiramasha was foreshadowing Toka being an Exceed all along. Oh man, I feel like an idiot. I got so excited about her meeting up with Natsu and ready to confess her love and seeing Natsu's reaction. But I don't know what to think anymore. This seems to be the one chapter that everybody seems to hate, and I don't blame them. After all the times with Toka wanting to meet Natsu since the first chapter, and once she finally meets him, it turns out to be a misunderstanding. After reading this chapter, I completely lost interest in Toka, but at least there's still the White Witch to look forward to. And there is one thing I did like from this chapter, and that is Lucy's expression after learning Toka's feelings for Natsu at the beginning of this chapter, after Kana and Juvia teased Lucy about getting her man back. But then Lucy said that she feels sorry for Toka because Natsu is not interested in that type of thing, which is believable since the pink hair hot-headed is never the romantic type, or should I say doesn't even know what the word means. But what caught my attention is seeing that expression when she said it. Those words mean one thing, which tells the truth, but that look says something else, as if there's something else on her mind. Now if she had a more, I don't know, sarcastic look on her face, I would thoughtfully brush this off and move on. But what I see in this panel, she looks nervous and is blushing, which gives me this vibe telling me that Lucy's not entirely truthful behind her words. Not saying that she's lying, more like saying, oh, I'm feeling sorry for Toka because Natsu will never return her feelings and could never be her boyfriend because he already has me. Okay, I know that seems a little far-fetched, but that's the vibe I got and those are the words that came to my head. Granted, this is the only good thing I got from this chapter, and it's time to move on to the next one. Okay, not much to say about this chapter. It's pretty much Urza versus Loxus, and if this was animated, it'd be hardcore. Or at least I hope it does, because seeing the animation from the final season and the 2014 series, it just looks lazy. But I will admit that not all the fight scenes seem dull. There is a moment and angle shots in the fight with the Dragon Slayers. That one wasn't too bad. There are other fight scenes in both 2018 and 2014 that was pretty good, but not as groundbreaking as the one in 2009. But if there's one animated scene that's a complete letdown for me, would be Natsu's power-up of the 7 dragons. When I saw the manga panel, it looked pretty intense and well designed, as you can see the multiple elements surrounding his body. In the anime, however, it's just the colors of the rainbow, which is pretty but also looks cheesy, and it doesn't give out that intensifying vibe that I got from the manga. But I will give the last episode a pass because it managed to give out the exciting and breathtaking series with the giant fiery fist that Natsu used to defeat Acnologia. This scene is so identical to the manga page. Now the reason I brought all this up was that if Fairy Tail 100 Year Quest was ever animated, I would want the same thing happening to this chapter with the 2009 anime style mixed with the 2018. It will be a great fight to watch. Both S-class wizards of the strongest guild going head to head with a beat up blade dragon freaking out, calling both of them monsters. This scene would be a memorable one. Now the last chapter of this volume gives an exciting cliffhanger. Let us start with the continuation of the battle between Loxus and Urza, and after that hardcore fight, Urza falls to her knees and accepts defeat, but not before she commented on Loxus' strength and was worried about the guild's defense, but now those worries are gone and she feels relieved. Both her and Loxus fall to the ground, and then Kiria felt lucky that the two of them wore themselves out, and willingly ready to eat Loxus, but not after she destroys the orb. Now there's only one left, where Natsu, Happy, and Toka are located. Toka claims that the White Witch is sleeping only to wake up and take control again, and then transform into her human self, having a stare down with Natsu telling him to go silent. Well, I have to say, this volume is not insignificant as there are chapters that I like, but I will have to say that this arc is taking too damn long, and the reason because there's a lot going on. First, there is the dragon, the fight with Fairy Tail Guild, trap him in the cars, dealing with Toka and the White Witch. Let's not forget the annoying dragon eaters. I will spoil spoil and say that I read the recent chapters of the filler after reading the final chapter of this arc. I am relieved right now and excited to see the beginning of the next arc after seeing that interesting filler. Well, that is all for this video. Thank you for watching, and leave comments about your thoughts about these chapters. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. RoseRed17